I don't. I used to, when I was about 10 years old, I used to think about it a lot. But now I've had a terrific life. I feel, it's going to happen. And I have no idea what happens after it. I'm an agnostic. So it may be terribly interesting. It may not be interesting at all. We'll find out. But your body gets kind of tired after a while. Mine isn't quite there yet, but I think in another 20 years, I'm not sure I would want a lot more days after that. I'm having as good a time at 84 as I've ever had, but my body can't do the same things now that it could before. But fortunately, it doesn't make any difference in my activities. Someday it'll make a difference, and I would not want to stick around in a paralyzed state. Just take Joe Kennedy for example. I would not want to exist that way. So I do not want to survive just to survive, and I've told my kids and my wife that just don't keep me alive just to keep a heart beating. Keep me alive as long as I'm enjoying life. Physically, I'm pretty well depreciated. I'm getting down to salvage value, but it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, I don't need hand-eye coordination. I don't need balance particularly or strength and so I'm not as strong as I was 5 years ago. I can't hit. I've gone out to do it, but I probably hit a golf ball, at best half the distance I could have hit it 10 years ago. But it really doesn't make any difference at all. It doesn't interfere with my work. It doesn't interfere with my happiness. It doesn't interfere with my thinking. It doesn't interfere with my friends. So I literally can say at 84, I may not be able to say it, a few more years, but I can say at 84 that the fact that my body isn't the same as it was earlier, it wasn't that great to start with. You're not looking at some guy that was a candidate for the Heisman or anything in the past. So I don't feel any diminution in my enjoyment of life or enthusiasm for life at all to this point. In fact, in a sense, the game that I'm in gets more interesting all the time. It's tough. The one part about growing old that's particularly tough is you lose more of your friends. I mean, that is tough. I just lost one last week, and Keogh, who was a wonderful friend. But aside from that, and that's important, but aside from that, I wake up every morning as excited about the day that's coming as I ever have in my life. I would not do as well on an IQ test as I would have 50 years ago. I can do mental arithmetic still pretty well, but not as good as I could when I was in my 20s or 30s. I read faster when I was younger. My memory is still pretty good for business facts and that sort of thing. But if I'd read a book when I was 25, I'd remember it better than if I read a book now. On the other hand, I've learned more about people over the years. So I'm better actually at things that involve people judgments than I would have been when I was in my 20s. But in terms of learning a new game, I wouldn't learn it as fast now. It used to be a game called Simon that you press various buttons and things out. Well, I was pretty good at that 40 years ago. If I took that up now and spent the same amount of time practicing on it, I wouldn't be nearly as good.